So the Eve disease is named after obviously Eve from Adam and Eve. It is this innate internal desire some women have to control men, and apparently it's something that they all battle with. The sign of a good woman for a long-lasting marriage is a woman who has this internal mechanism under control, where she's not trying to control her man every single moment of every single day.
Welcome to Sovereign Man Podcast, where we aim to make men masculine again. I'm your man, Nicky Billou, and I'm here with my man, Rob Arpa. Welcome, Arps.
What's happening, brother?
Living the dream, bright and early on a Monday morning. So
on a holiday Monday too.
even better, even better.
Yeah.
Arp, let's talk about this for the session, the episode today. You brought to my attention a powerful concept called the Eve's disease. And I guess,
Eve disease, yeah.
yeah, the Eve disease, excuse me. And I guess it comes from the biblical story of Adam and Eve at some level. So why don't you share with us what is the Eve disease and why should men
Yeah,
be aware of it?
be aware of it. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, this is something I came across on social media. So the Eve disease is named after obviously Eve from Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And it is this innate internal desire some women have, or all, to control men, or their man, their significant other. Yeah. And apparently it's something that they all battle with. Now, the video that I was watching was a pastor from the US, and he was saying that the sign of a good woman for a long-lasting marriage is a woman who has this internal mechanism under control, where she's not trying to control her man every single moment of every single day. And I thought I came across this and I thought, wow, that's a pretty good distinction for the stuff that we do as men in our work. Because one of the things that we always talk about is what qualifies or how to qualify a woman for a long-term relationship. And I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty brilliant. How controlling is your woman, or how hard does she try to control you? There's also do you remember the parable that was in Stefan Arnio's book with the witch?
Remind me.
Oh, okay. So there's the man, he's walking along the road, comes across some beggars asking him for help, whatever. And he looks at her, some old raggedy old woman, spits at her, whatever, and refuses. And she puts some kind of curse on him, and then he goes like weeks later, or whatever, to find her to remove the curse. And she said that the only way for you to not be affected by this curse is to figure out uh, um, what women want.
Oh,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
remember? And then he was out seeking the answer, and then the answer that he gave her was uh, to not have full and complete and total control over her man, which I thought was pretty impressive, right? You know, it's according to that parable, they are allowed a level of control. So it's a weird balancing act where there's so much that you listen to, and then there's a point in where a man's got to just you know not give up control. And it's funny, like if a woman has 90% control, she's probably very happy. 100% control, as much as she may be happy in the moment, then the resentment comes in after, you know,
Well,
similar to like terms and stuff like that.
it's interesting because when you shared with me the story, the concept of the Eve disease, the first thought that came into my head was I instantly see this in my woman. There are certain things she just has to have go her way. And that's a lot about the control. Like, um, this Saturday, I was booking a trip for us to go to Vegas. And man, she started freaking out, like, you this and you that, and blah, blah, and blah, blah. And I'm just like, fuck this, I'm not taking you. buzz off. And then she calls me, she says, no, 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 I really want to go. I really want to go. Take me, blah, blah, blah. So I booked the flight, finally, but she was getting on my nerves and I just didn't want to deal with this. And I wasn't going to go on a trip if she was going to be a total fucking bitch about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And the truth of the matter is that at the moment, the most important thing for me is to make sure that living life the way I want to live it. I don't want to live life with a woman who wants to have things go her way all the time. And it's
yeah,
the level at which my woman has this under control is not very high, to be totally frank. I have to push back against her and then she backs off, but she just continues with these shit tests around. Well,
yeah,
you know, you gotta come here, you gotta do this. I don't want to fucking do any of that shit. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in doing anything with her in that fashion. I want to do things for myself my way. You know,
yeah,
and it's interesting. Women really innately, as you say, want to control us when they're in a relationship with us.
yeah,
Doesn't matter who
yeah,
you are, doesn't matter how successful you are, they want to fucking control you.
yeah. And it's so when before I came across I came across the Eve disease, I was under the impression it was something that it was taught, like women were raised this way. And then when I
Mm.
came across this Eve disease, it's like, oh, geez, maybe it's not so much something that was taught to them, but more something it's part of their essence, their DNA, this desire to control, to be controlling, and then when they receive that full control, they get very resentful. Um, and maybe what had what had maybe stopped rather than being a lesson that was started was the lesson that women would pass from generation to generation that would say, hey, you need to fight this desire. And in the video that I saw that, the pastor had brought up, he was actually explaining it as it being a demonic force that resides or tries to manipulate women to attain that control, uh, rather than, having the ability to tame it. And and I was thinking, maybe that's what's happened, in the last 40 years and so forth, with the the whole rise of you know they call it feminism, but it's not that anymore. It's all about control, right? Like that's really what it is. So the lessons, women had passed from from mothers to daughters of, you know, trying to control this innate desire for total control. So it's really wild. It's a really wild concept.
Look, we all know that feminism was a psyop, that it was not this wonderful thing that took the patriarchy away. It wasn't. The whole concept of the patriarchy is a psyop as well. This was all about weakening Western civilization through
Yeah,
weakening men so that the ideas of godless communism could take root and then they'd be able to take over our society and turn it into ashes without firing a shot. We all know this. We all know this.
yeah,
The way that women have been treated throughout history has been proper and correct. Proper and correct.
yeah,
Have there been individual instances of men treating their women badly? Of course. But there've also been individual instances of women treating their men badly. And since this psyop has come into place, women have been encouraged to treat their men badly. So they say,
sadly,
hey,
yeah,
the whole thing is, oh my God, men used to hit women. Yeah, that's true. There's some men that used to hit some women. But today, almost all women are encouraged to emotionally abuse their men. And that's what they do,
yeah,
honestly. They don't even realize they're doing it, but they're doing it. And the men just sit back there taking it in some way, except some who said, screw this, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Um,
yeah.
for me, that's kind of where I'm at. Screw this, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Um,
No, why would you?
yeah,
Let's say, okay, so were there instances in the past in history where men hit women? Yeah, but there's also a lot of instances in the past where women hit their children. It
Yeah,
happens, or used to
usually
happen. It doesn't really happen anymore. But yeah, I think I got spanked more from my mother than I did my from my father,
100%.
uh, by a huge degree. Now, sure, we were a single income family and he was working, but yeah, it happened. Man, I remember seeing one of my neighbors, uh, his mother or grandmother was chasing him with a giant wooden spoon that they used to stir tomato sauce when they made tomato sauce in the summer. Like this thing looked like a cricket bat, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's funny how you could just remember this shit and laugh at it now because back then it was scary as hell, man. Yeah. Imagine this lady just chasing this kid with this thing that looks like a cricket bat.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's true, man.
So I don't know. I don't buy I don't buy that argument.
No, me neither. Me neither. I think it's terrible.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I I think it's a bad argument. It really is.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, so men were always told, you should never hit a woman. And I'm like, I've things I have seen that women can do. There comes a point where, you know what? Something needs to change their line of thought because sometimes they remind me of a terrier. Pit bull terrier. Pitbull, when it grabs onto something, the more you
Yeah.
fight back or whatever, the harder it holds
Yeah.
until you're able to break its thought, which is very difficult because they latch on. Some women are like that, man. Like I remember as an employee of mine back when we first started, I had called him up and I'm like, "Hey, man, we got a small job, just something that needs to get turned quick. Can you come to work?" And he's like, he was supposed to do something. I don't know what he was supposed to do. And then he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I need the money. Let's go." So I went to go pick him up, and his girlfriend, baby mama, pregnant at the time, was freaking out. And I remember calling him, and like I could hear her yelling at him on the phone. She was throwing shit at him. I could hear bottles bouncing off the walls and stuff. And then when he came out, she was throwing shit out the window, like absolutely out of control. So bad, so that afterwards, I think she was chasing him out. She slammed the screen door,
Yeah.
and they used to live in a government housing sponsored housing unit.
Yeah.
And she was arrested like later that day because uh, because she slammed that door so hard. I think she shattered the glass,
That's
and
yeah.
she was forced into anger management. And it's like like women. I don't think women. The monster doesn't know it's a monster unless it can see itself from third person.
Yeah.
And like I don't think this woman understood the monster she could become. And like this dude, I'm like he's a fairly well built dude, and I was shocked that he was able to walk away and coming to work probably the best thing that could happen to him that day. Because if like if she was hesitant or resistant to this man like this, God knows what could have happened. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't ever go out there and start, bullying women. That's not what I'm saying. But like these women need to look and realize. I don't know how many videos online, bro. There's tons of them of women just
Losing their
going
shit.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but not,
totally.
but getting physical. It's the saying, no one should ever hit a woman is bullshit. I don't think that saying should be stricken from language, but no one has the right to hit anybody ever. I don't think
No,
that's
and if somebody is trying to hit you,
no.
you have the right to restrain them and defend yourself. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Though, like, but these women don't understand. You know, Men and women aren't built the same. To whatever degree they think they have strength, like men are innately like going to be stronger,
Yeah,
and 9 times out of 10, they're going to hit you a lot back, harder when they hit back. So like, I know they have, some of these women fight these demons these to get physical and to try and control, and like they need to fight that within themselves because man, you lay your hands on the wrong dude and he turns around and he slaps you back, it's not going to be fucking pretty. You know what
No,
I mean, bro?
no. Listen,
Yeah,
I've never laid hands on a woman in that fashion. I've never hit a woman, and I never would. But I've had women lose their shit and try to hit me with objects, dangerous objects, and I've absolutely done
yeah,
what I've had to do to restrain them, to make sure they didn't hurt themselves or me, quite frankly. And the very idea that this is something that should be just accepted by men is fucked up. No, it shouldn't be accepted by men. You should,
absolutely not.
no, absolutely not.
No, no, no.
Absolutely not.
Tolerance equals permission.
Yeah.
100%. That's one thing I've learned in my last 10 years. Whatever we permit. So, for us as men, if we continue to tolerate this behavior by women and the crap that's going on with our institutions, we're giving them permission to continue and expand that, right? That's like a child. Like when a child is learning its boundaries, it's learning its boundaries by testing your tolerance, right? That's how it happens. And then as soon as you stop to tolerate certain behavior, they know that line, and they'll continuously on occasion test that line to see if that tolerance is still there. And once that tolerance is gone, that's permission. Then they'll go and do whatever the hell they want. And I think that's a big lesson that the Western world has forgotten. Tolerance is permission. What we tolerate, we permit, we allow it. And that's gone. And we can see that with like the whole migrant crisis that's going on now. That shit in Spain. I
Yeah,
don't know
it's
how many
crazy.
thousands of migrants were crossing into Spain. Not one was a child, not one of them woman. They were all men, ages
Military age men. Yeah, they're
30.
military age men.
Yeah, yeah. Not to say that they're all militants and shit, but they're all, they're that age. They're all, between the ages of 20 and 40, plus or minus a few years, probably more in, averaged in the mid to late 20s. You know what I'm saying? Like these are all fighting men age, like that's insane. And I don't know how Spain could not bolster their border. Their guards were overwhelmed and had no choice but to allow them through because thousands of them, that's insane. Insane. So
Yep.
yeah, what we tolerate, we permit. And I think one of the big unfortunate things in our Canadian, political system that's based off of the British parliamentary system is, tolerance is baked into the system. Like once a prime minister is elected, like we basically have to tolerate everything now for his full term, which is what we've seen with the last prime minister and this existing one. So much so, I've been totally detached from politics. I don't. My thought. You know my thoughts on this country. This country is a lost fucking country. And I am gonna start looking to possibly migrate somewhere else. Um, yeah,
Well,
tolerance is bullshit.
no question. No question. There's things that shouldn't be tolerated. I mean, should you tolerate, an idiosyncrasy from a friend of yours who, I don't know, maybe they sip straw in a funny way? Sure. But should you tolerate bad behavior that causes you harm? Fuck no. Fuck no. Not now, not ever.
No, man.
Not now, not ever.
Not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tolerance. Yeah, and it comes back to the whole Eve disease. If a man tolerates the controllingness of a woman, that shit ain't gonna work well. And like Sterling said in our weekend, once you give up your balls to the woman, like she's gonna fight to hold on to them, and it's a fight to get them back. So like men really should be aware of that. Like look out for that controlling aspect, and it's going to be hard because men, especially at the age, Like when I was in my 20s, I had only one thing on my mind, and that was, getting in with women, and the shit that I would tolerate was uncanny.
Listen,
Now that I'm in my 40s,
when a man's young and he's trying to get laid, it's different.
but yeah, tolerance, yeah, it's really crazy, you know.
I appreciate what you're
But yeah,
saying. I appreciate what you're saying. The concept of the Eve disease is an interesting one. I appreciate you revealing it to me and helping me learn about it. I'm going to look into it some more. I think it's important that men understand that the Eve disease is prevalent in women everywhere. And
yeah,
the sign of a good woman, as that pastor said, is one who understands she has the disease and has it under control. It's important for women to understand this. And I also agree that it's a demonic force. It's not
yeah,
a force for good out there in the world. And part of this demonic force has been elevated by the forces of progressivism and anti humanism that have entered our society since the mid 1960s. So
yeah,
it's important that all men understand that so-called feminism is a force for evil, unfortunately, because it's not really feminism. It's not about
yeah,
uplifting women. It's about weakening men to allow progressive forces to overthrow Western civilization and rule over all of us. And it's about having a society where overlords rule over us and we basically accept whatever crumb they want to throw our way. And that's fucked up. We're not going to allow that. We love women. We believe in women. We believe in families. We believe in children. And we want a traditional society because a traditional society was best for all human beings. And I
yeah.
really appreciate you bringing the concept of the Eve disease to my attention and through me to the attention of all our listeners.
Yeah, so the other interesting thing with the Eve disease is if you actually go back to the original story, it's who was the one that the serpent went after, right? Because it only had two options. There was Adam, who was entrusted with the care of the garden, and then there was Eve, who was supposed to be his assistant and his helper, right? Like that was supposed to be her role. And who does the serpent go after, right? And it's funny because like when you look at our what has been transpiring in the West now for the last 40, 50, 60 years, who is the serpent going after? Not directly after men, it's going after women. It's the feminism, it's the free sex, the breaking up the family, the whole I don't need a man to survive crap
Yeah,
that's been coming through that whole feminism corridor. And now into the whole LGBTQ crap that's going on now too, right? Where
yeah,
where men are playing women for God knows what reason, the absolute absurdity. And we keep tolerating this. But good men keep tolerating everything. Everyone, we've always been told to tolerate, and that's not what we were put on this earth for. We were here to manage and take care of what we were given, and we can't do this through tolerance, as we've learned over the last 5, 6 decades. Tolerance is not exactly what's going to get us to where we need to be. And it's time for good men to start putting their foot down. And I don't know about you, brother, but I'm tired of seeing the crap that's going on in the street. I'm tired of Canada was supposed to be a violence-free country, and I think now we're almost, I won't say we're on par to the level of crime as Chicago, but there's shootings every few days now in Toronto, and that's when I grew up, a shooting was like maybe two or three a year. You know what I mean? Like we're not on the same battlefield anymore. This is like what is it? Poland in like World War II, where the Russians came in with tanks and they had cavalry on horses. Like this is not a fair battle anymore in Toronto. Like this is crazy. Absolute nuts. Got to go back to like Idaho. Idaho just legalized death by firing squad for those that perform the most heinous crimes. So pedophiles are going to get shot. You know, if you get caught as a pedophile in Idaho, they're going to line you up in a wall with three shooters and you get three bullets. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Um,
sad, but I think that's the route we need to go because
in my
our legal
opinion,
system tolerates way too much.
in my opinion, um, Canada can only survive if we elect a non-progressive government who reverses some of the activities that have taken place since the election of Justin Castro, also known as Justin Trudeau. And the problem that we as a nation face is that the Canadians over the age of 60, for some fucked up reason, are supporting this liberal, so-called liberal, but actually fascist government. And
Fascist, yeah.
fascist government. And I believe that the reasons they're doing this are emotional reasons. They're not logical reasons. But nonetheless, they are doing it and they are clinging to this very hard. And as long as they continue to support the liberals, we're going to have a problem as a nation.
Ah,
And the problem that the conservatives have is they need to find a way to get the young people in this country, the people between the ages of 18 and 30, to swing hard to their side. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is, in my opinion, through building a grassroots series of organizations that go out there and take the argument to this group, the way they did in the United States. I mean, the United States, there was Charlie Kirk who had Turning Point USA, and he would go into universities and he would argue
yeah.
for rational policies. And unfortunately, he was shot and killed. His security team didn't do a good job of making sure that he was going to be safe.
How's
But
that for progressivism, eh?
yeah, fucking progressivism.
You don't
Progressivism
agree,
to
they'll
me,
shoot you, bro.
well, shoot you, they'll kill you.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
And but we need that in this country. Our current conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, he started to go on podcasts now, which
Too late, yeah,
is too late. And the next time there is an election that comes around, what he needs to do is he needs to go on podcasts. Soon as it's clear there's going to be an election, he should start going on every podcast that he can.
yeah,
And the podcast where young people listen to
yeah. Which which will be some in the US for sure. Which,
US, and
and
elsewhere, and even the
it's
Diary of the
too late.
CEO in the UK.
Britain.
The
Oh, I think
problem
he's in New
is,
York now. He moved.
okay, wherever he happens to be, if he's in New York, he's an idiot. He's living in a
Yeah,
communist country, but communist city, I should say. If he does that, then Canada is going to be able to vote these bastards out of office, and we'll be able to save our country. If not,
yeah.
if not, I'll be candid with you. We got a problem. We got a huge problem. I believe we've
No,
got
I think
I believe we've got 4 years before this country is going to be in an irretrievable space. And if it is in an irretrievable space, we got to seriously consider whether it makes sense to stay. I'd like to stay.
so.
I have my family here, but
Yeah.
it's not a place that it would make sense to stay if it continues to go down this wrong path.
So just food for thought. In the last election, the millennial generation supported the conservative government by leaps and bounds more than anyone else. So it's not the younger vote that they haven't attracted.
But not enough of them voted. This is the problem. This is what you need
Yes,
to understand. The people over
but a lot of
60,
them have left.
the people over 60
Over
vote
60.
in high percentages of their
Yes, because they
of
got
the
nothing else
populace.
to do.
Right.
Yeah,
So for for the conservatives to win, if the conservatives got the same percentage of people under the age of 32 to vote as did the people over 60, they would have won. They would have won.
Yeah.
They
You
lost
should put
because they didn't do that. And this is the entirety of what I have to say to these people. This is the entirety of what I have to
yeah.
say to these people. And I can show Pierre Poilievre the numbers if he wants to see them of why he lost and how he can win.
Oh, I'm sure he has them.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of stupid people at the highest levels of government, Arpa, and I hate to say it, but look, in the United States, right? Everybody thinks that JD Vance is a bright guy, and in many levels he is. But when it comes to Middle Eastern policy, he's dumb as a post. The policies he's been advocating for is to do a deal with the mullahs, who are never going to do a deal, ever. They're just going to buy time until they can go back to creating mischief. That's what they're all about. And he doesn't understand this. And unfortunately, he's the vice president of the United States. And so he has the ear of the president. The truth of the matter is the president needs to listen to me. And I'll tell him, don't do this because this isn't going to work. You're going to have to kick these bastards out. If you need to wait till after the midterm elections, fine. Play the game until the midterm elections are finished, but then go crush these bastards, remove them from power, and install the Pahlavi regime, because that's going to be pro-American. It's going to be good for the United States. Period, full stop, end the story. If he does that, everything's going to be great. If he doesn't do that, then it's fucked. And that's the truth.
The issue with the Middle East is the no more wars, right? So I think that's the battle that JD Vance is fighting right now. Is that
Yeah, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No more wars.
No more forever wars. No more forever wars. This is not a forever war. This is a war that will be finished because this regime is very weak, will be finished in a few weeks. But you need to give weapons to the Iranian people. You need to overthrow these bastards. You need to install a pro-American government. And the Iranian people are not the Iraqis. They're in favor of this. They're in favor of this. And that's what JD Vance doesn't understand. He thinks this is Iraq and it's going to be a quagmire. No, this isn't Iraq. It's not Afghanistan. Iran will become a pro-US country. That's it. But anyways.
No, I don't think he's in denial of that.
I think JD Vance is in denial of that in a big way, which is exactly why he's advocating for making a deal with these people. He continuously says this will be a forever war and we don't want that. If he had a half a brain in his head about this particular topic, he wouldn't be saying that, because it's not a forever war. It won't be a forever war. It will be a quick war, and it will be one where installing the Pahlavis is going to be good for the United States. But anyways, that's
better than Afghanistan or Iraq, that's for sure.
Oh my God, 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better.
It is the gateway to peace in the Middle East, right?
It is the gateway to peace in the Middle East. 100% safe. So I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you introducing the Eve disease to us today. And I really appreciate having this podcast conversation with you. We always have good conversations together, you and I. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Sovereign Man Podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and become the man you've always wanted to be, we invite you to join the movement at sovereignman.ca.